Hello there, Blender Benders! Today we're going to do a quick and easy tutorial on how to make your very own pop vinyl character. So this will be for you to make a base model with some details, and then you can take from there to customize it to exactly what you want. For example, following this method I made this little guy. Hello! So let's get started. So I'm using Blender version 3.3, but it really doesn't matter as we're keeping things fairly simple. We will start by importing a reference picture that I made in Photoshop, and will include in the description for you to download and use. We can then use Alt-R to reset the rotation, then rotate it 90 degrees on the X-axis, and move it back a little bit to give us space for our character. We can also center it on our character's front outline to make use of the mirror modifier later. Then we can copy the reference and move it to the right side of the scene and rotate it, centering the right outline on the world origin. Now, with our guide set up, we can start making our character. Let's do the head first. Looking from front view, we can create a cube. Scale it to the rough size of the head and bring it into position. After bringing the cube roughly into position, we can press Ctrl 2 to add a level 2 subdivision surface modifier. Then right click and shade smooth. Press Tab to go into edit mode, then Ctrl R to add a loop cut around the middle. Go into X-ray mode up here and delete the right side of the object. Then in the modifiers tab, we can turn on the mirror modifier. Don't forget to turn clipping on and to move the mirror modifier above the subdivision one. Now we can add another loop cut horizontally and start to move the vertices to line up with the reference picture. Once that is done, we can rotate to the side view and add another loop cut here. And then move these vertices into the right position also. And like I'm doing here, it doesn't have to be exact, and will also depend on the character that you're making. Once that is done, we are finished with the basic head shape and can start with some details. Let's do the eyes first. Shift and right click to move the 3D cursor to the center of where the eye will go, then add a sphere. We can switch to wireframe mode to get a better view of the reference behind, scaling it and moving it into the correct position. Then press S and Z to squash it on the Z axis. Now to get it into the right position, we can go to side view and rotate it to the right orientation. This might take a little bit of maneuvering to make sure it sits right on the surface. This seems to look right for me. Now we can add a mirror modifier again, but select the mirror object as the head, so it will mirror to the other side to make the right eye. There we go, 2 eyes on our pop vinyl character. Next up, we can do the nose. Select a head and go into edit mode. Select one of the vertices in the center and press Shift S, then cursor to selected. Add a cube and scale it down to the right size. As you can see here, it doesn't line up perfectly with the reference, but we keep it to the center of the face anyway. Scale it to the right shape and add another subdivision surface with Ctrl 2 and shade smooth. I usually add a loop cut and bring it down to flatten out the bottom, and reshape the top a little bit to get the shape I want. Oh, and shade smooth the eyes also. And that's the nose and eyes done. Next up, the ears. Switching to the right view, we can add a cube in position. stretch it in the Z-axis a little bit, and add the subsurf modifier again. In X-ray mode, we can move these points around and get the shape that's right for us. Then we can shade smooth and rotate it on the Z-axis to improve his aerodynamics. Perfect! Then add a mirror modifier again, same as we did with the eyes, selecting the head as the mirror object. And that's it for the head modeling. Just to give it a nice look, we can add some basic materials. Select the eyes and go to the Material tab. Create a new material and call it Eyes. Set the color to black and bring the roughness right down to around here. Now select the head and do the same. New material, call it Skin, and make it the skin color of your choice. There is no sun in Ireland, so I'm pretty much the color of a newborn pig. Then add the same material to the nose and the ears. And that's it for the head. We'll worry about the hair later. Next up, the body. As we did before, select the middle vertices in the head and Shift S to move the 3D cursor to it. Then add a cube and scale it into place. We're starting with the neck. Ctrl 2 again to subsurf it. Then extrude from the bottom of the cube down to the bottom of their torso. Then extrude off this to line up with the reference. Oh, I forgot. Add a loop cut around the center and delete the right side. And add the mirror modifier, turn on clipping, and move it above the subsurf modifier. Next we can add these two loop cuts around the center of the body to allow us to extrude some arms off the side. Switching to the side view, we can now change the shape to follow the outline behind. Then just bring the shoulders back a small bit to make sure the arms don't end up too thick. Also smooth the body shape out a little bit more if needed. Switching to the front view and pressing 3 to go to face select mode, we can select this face and start to extrude for the arms. Moving verts as we go, making sure it looks right. Now, as you can see here, there is a sharp line in the middle of his chest, as some of the verts aren't connecting in the mirror modifier. They're overlapping a bit, it seems. So we can select them and move them away from the center like this. Then the sharp line is gone. With the torso done, we can work on the legs. Switch to front view and select this face here, and extrude it to make the leg. Bring this face down to the knee, then extrude it again to bring it just above where the foot starts. Then extrude once more to the base of the foot. Flatten it out at the bottom by scaling on the Z-axis. Now in side view we can make the foot itself by selecting the front face and extruding it out to the right length. Also, while we're here, we can select the loop of the knee and bring it forward a little bit. Then add a loop around the foot and bring it down to flatten the bottom of his shoes. Rearranging the verts to get the correct shape, then select the whole foot and rotate it on the Z-axis to create a more dynamic pose. And that's the rough shape of the body completed, and now we can work on the finer details. With the neck, we can add another loop to better define the point at where it meets the body. Now we can add a skin material to the body, And if your goal for this video was to make a handless, naked pop vinyl man, then you can stop here because you're done. Let's do the hands. I find hands very difficult, so for this we're going to make something that looks vaguely handish, and it should be fine. So we will double press G to edge slide to make the hands thinner than the arm itself. Selecting the bottom face, we can extrude it a bit to create this face on the right, which will be the thumb. We can extrude that out and scale and rotate it until it looks thummy, adding a little loop cut around the top to keep the thickness somewhat consistent. Back over here, we select this face and extrude it a small bit to create the geometry for the fingers. We can scale that in the Y, and now we have 3 faces for his 3 fingers. As we did with the thumb, we extrude the fingers off the 3 faces, making sure that there's a loop near each of their bases to define the beginning of each finger. Once all the fingers are made, we can move some verts around to make it look a little bit less terrible. Once you've given up trying to make hands look right, you can switch to front view and move the hands into a more casual resting position. Rotating them into an almost 45-degree angle, and then just giving up and wishing you'd given him boxing gloves or something. Next we will start defining his clothes. I'm going to give him a short-sleeved shirt, so we can add a loop near the upper arm like this, and make another loop and bring it right up close to it. Then Shift Alt click these 2 edges to select both loops. Right click and select Edge Crease to sharpen the subsurf modifier at these points, dragging away from the loops to sharpen. And now he has sleeves. Next is to define the border between the shirt and the pants. Create a loop cut here and slide it down. Then create another loop cut in between and scale it until we see the line of definition appear. And now he has a full shirt. Next is the neck. Same as the arm, we select both loops and right click and edge crease to sharpen it to show where the shirt stops and neck starts. Last of all, we will do the same with the border of the pants and shoes. Create a loop, slide it down, and create a second one in between, scaling it to define the border. And always making changes as you go to anything that doesn't look right. And that's the body done. Let's add some basic material to his clothes. Select the body and go to the Materials tab again. Create a new material and call it Shirt. I'm going to give him a white shirt, so now we have to select all the faces that we want to be white. And select Assign. I missed a few here, so we'll make sure to get them all. And now we can do the same with the pants. Dark green pants, I think. Again, select all the faces and assign the material to them. And finally the shoes. Create a material, call it Shoes, make it brown, select the faces, and assign. Now with the materials that are clothes, we can bring up the roughness on each one to make them slightly less reflective. And that's the body done. And finally, we're going to do the hair. There are lots of ways to do hair, very complicated and intricate ways, but for this we will keep it quick and easy. Add a cube to the side of his head like this, Ctrl 2 to subsurf it, and create a hair material. I'll make it dark brown. Then add the mirror modifier with the head as the mirror object. Then start to extrude the cube around the head until it meets the other side. Make sure clipping is on also. Then delete the middle face up here to allow each side to connect. And don't forget the mirror modifier always goes above the subsurf one. Select the front view faces on top and we can start to extrude the hair shape from it. and do the same at the back. Curving the shape as we go, cleaning it up around the ear. We can then select the top edges at the front faces and bring them up to thicken up his hair at the front and give his hair more volume. This might need a little bit of moving around to look right, so take your time with it. But that's pretty much the hair done. Now for fun, I'm going to give him a mustache. I'll copy a face from his hair and bring it down under his nose. Rotate it and extrude it into a mustache shape. I think I'll give him some mutton chops also. Step by step, bringing it around the face. If you want to give him eyebrows, you can do the same as what we did with the mustache, but put them over his eyes. Whatever style you're going for will decide this. You can spend more time refining his features, but this will get you to a good base for your character. I'll just add a background here and some lights. A dark blue background and 4 lights positioned around him. And that's pretty much the character done. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please drop a like or leave a comment, or even subscribe. And if you have any ideas for future tutorials, please let me know also. If you would like more help learning Blender, I have a Blender competition Discord group called the Blender Benders. Each week we have a new theme to work on and we help each other out to make it a fun learning experience for everyone. The invite link is in the description of this video. Everyone is welcome.
Hello Blender Benders.
Yes, and Patrick helps too. Okay guys, thanks for watching and I'll see you all again soon. Bye!